Secretary Lutnick, thank you for appearing before our committee today. I want to thank you for the Bureau of Industry and Security's decision to rescind the Biden-era interim final rule on firearm export controls. That rule placed an undue burden on American firearm manufacturers and shut them out of overseas markets. Rescinding it was the right call. And so I appreciate the administration's action on this and want to say thank you. And also, the example that you gave of the BEAD, the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program savings of $21 billion. Did I get that right? $21 billion? Okay.
$21 billion.
$21 billion. That is incredible, and that is a great testament to someone who comes in and says, you know, I think we need some competition in this, and we need to be able to look at it and say one size doesn't fit all. All right, and so I think this highlights the president's constitutional authority of impoundment. Here you have done something with 50% of the money, and you've got 50% of the money saved, and therefore I think that should be able to either go back to the Treasury or simply be unspent, because in the end it ends up being borrowed money. So with that, I thank you. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the BEAD program. Blue Ridge Mountain EMC in my district is a member-owned cooperative or electric cooperative, was excited to receive $3.8 million BEAD award toward their $13.1 million project to connect 3,700 hard-to-reach households in Northeast Georgia with broadband. But on January 12th of this year, the National Telecom and Information Administration quietly added new language to the BEAD general terms and conditions, requiring cooperatives to comply with FCC pole attachment rules across their entire service footprint, not just the BEAD-funded areas, but for the entire service footprint. And this is a serious problem for a few reasons, and I'll go through that. First, Congress explicitly exempted electric cooperatives from FCC pole attachment rules under Section 224 of the Communications Act. And as I understand it, the NTIA has no mandate to undo that exemption. Second, and most critically, Blue Ridge Mountain EMC is regulated by the Tennessee Valley Authority, which governs pole attachment rates for all 153 TVA-served utilities using a standardized valley-wide methodology. And so as I see it, NTIA is demanding that this cooperative violate its obligations to its own congressionally authorized federal regulator in order to accept a federal grant from a different agency. Blue Ridge Mountain EMC has concluded that the compliance burden may already outweigh the benefit and may be forced to walk away from the grant entirely, and I don't want to see that happen at all. All right, so are you familiar with this kind of issue, with this issue?
That's the benefit of this job. I'm familiar with all of these issues.
Okay,
so,
great, fantastic.
I just want to let you know, so I looked into this.
Yes.
The TVA is exempt from these rules.
Okay.
And Blue Ridge Mountain EMC is exempt, and they can stick to the policy and the process that you and I would agree is the best for your area.
Okay, so thank you for that commitment. I was going to ask you for that, and you beat me to the punch, so thank you very much. We'll take that as gospel, so thank you, sir. I was encouraged to see your budget request reduces the Department of Commerce's footprint by $1.8 billion, a 16.5% decrease from the FY26 enacted level, and your proposal rightly eliminates duplicative programs within the Economic Development Administration and the Minority Business Development Agency and curtails billions in federal funding dollars that the Biden-Harris administration funneled into radical climate initiatives, research, and grant programs. So, Mr. Secretary, you propose eliminating the Economic Development Administration and the Minority Business Development Agency. Can you describe how both of these agencies, the EDA and the MBDA, were wasting taxpayer dollars on earmarks for political pet projects and subsidies for leftist ideologies, and the reasoning then behind that savings?
So, for example, the MBDA had a very, very rough IG report, and I have that audit here, and it is brutal. It actually literally says that over 92% of the awards should never have been made, that the economic analysis was wrong and flawed, and so it was a mess. So we sought to make it zero because it was a mess. If it was effective, great. But if, and these other programs, the problem like the MEP, right? The idea is a good idea, but you should read the Inspector General's report. It'd make you sick to your stomach. They overpay the people. This was a set up in 1988 to do advanced manufacturing. And what happened is it just crept and crept and crept to where the money was just not being used effectively. So whatever appropriations you give to me, what I will promise you is I will do our darndest to use it incredibly effectively for the benefit of the bargain of the American people. But if the current program is broken, like MBDA, right, I'm obviously going to suggest to you to zero it out.
Sure.
Right? Because it's broken. I'm not saying the ideas are wrong. I'm saying if the execution is wrong, I've got to come here and tell you it's broken and you can feel good to zero it out. If you want to come up with a new program and talk about it, let's do that together, but let's not do it wrong.
Well, thank you. I think that's wise counsel, and I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. With that, I yield back.